Voiceover calm but tense. Some monsters were soldiers first, and they still remember our names. Slight pause, sound of echoing footsteps and distant hissing. We ran, deeper into the earth, guided by the very creatures we were sent to hunt. They moved with a terrifying, inhuman grace, their forms twisted by Mengel's experiments. Yet, they slowed for us. They remembered us. I could see the tattered insignia of a captain on the one leading the way, Weber, and just behind him Kramer, who was once my lieutenant. The air grew thick with the chemical tang of gas grenades hissing in the tunnels behind us, a reminder that the kill teams were closing in. Weber led us to a hidden annex carved directly into the cavern rock, a secret within a secret. Inside, off-grid computers hummed, their screens casting a cold blue glow on our faces. This was Mengel's private sanctuary, his digital brain. Weiss, our tech specialist, got to work immediately, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The files she uncovered were a nightmare made real. This wasn't just one rogue operation. Mengel had a global network of programs: Bärenherz, Adlerau, Haifischzahn, Bearheart, Eagle Eye, Sharktooth. Whiteboards were plastered with maps, pins stuck in dozens of countries, marking nodes in a web of unspeakable science. A deep, bone-jarring rumble shook the cavern. Thermobaric charges. They were trying to bury us alive. Dust rained from the ceiling, and chunks of concrete spalled from the reinforced walls. Time was running out. Weiss raced against the clock, copying Mengel's logs, the proof of everything. The truth. Just as she finished, the tunnel entrance behind us exploded inward. A kill team. They flooded the narrow choke point, their weapon lights cutting through the gloom. Lasers seared the rock, flamethrowers roared, and the air filled with the sharp crack of specialized toxin rounds. It was chaos. But something incredible happened. The transformed, our former comrades formed a living wall. They shielded us, absorbing impacts that would have torn us apart. I saw Kramer take a volley of rounds meant for Weiss, his massive form barely flinching. Weber let out a roar of pure grief and rage, a sound that was both human and beast, and charged into the fray. In the heart of the firefight, Weiss held up a ruggedized data drive. "Foss, catch!" She tossed it through the maelstrom of light and fire. My hands closed around it, its weight feeling heavier than any weapon I'd ever held. It was the weight of truth, the weight of their sacrifice. I knew what I had to do. I primed the demo charges we'd brought. This was the only way to stop them, to give the truth a chance to see the light of day. I looked at Weiss, at the burning form of Weber still fighting, and made the call. "Get back, now!" The survivors scrambled deeper into the cave system as I planted the charges. With one last look at the advancing kill team, I triggered the detonator. The world became a shockwave of pressure and noise. The explosion blew out our lanterns, plunging us into absolute darkness and silence. The only sound was the slow, steady drip of water from the cavern ceiling. We were alive. Me, Weiss, and a handful of the transformed. Weber was with us, his body horrifically burned but his spirit unbroken. He had bought us our escape. The path out was a labyrinth of tight tunnels and forgotten passages that Weber seemed to know by instinct. We walked for hours, in silence, each of us lost in our own thoughts. We finally emerged from a narrow fissure into the cold air of dawn. The world was coated in a delicate layer of frost that glittered in the first rays of sunlight. Our breath plumed in the frigid air. I stood before Weber, the man, the monster, the hero. There were no words that could bridge the chasm between what we were and what we had become. I offered my hand. He took it, his grip surprisingly gentle. His eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light, held a profound sadness. "Don't forget us." The words were a whisper, carried on the wind. I nodded. I couldn't. We didn't waste a moment. The mission was far from over. It had just begun. I mailed copies of the drive from a dozen different post offices, sending them to every major news outlet and watchdog organization I could think of. Mengel's shadowy agents were a step behind, but they were always a step behind. The truth was faster. And then it happened. A single headline, then another and another. Newsrooms lit up. Television screens animated with breaking news banners. Project Eisenwolf exposed. The story caught fire, spreading across the globe. The public outcry was immediate and deafening. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, people carrying signs that read, "Justice for the transformed, and we remember their names." The political fallout was swift. A ticker of resignations scrolled across news channels. The United Nations launched a formal inquiry. A memorial was commissioned, a striking statue of a soldier offering a gentle hand to a wolf-like creature, a symbol of remembrance and reconciliation. Years passed. The world tried to heal, to understand. The search for a cure continued, but some things can't be undone. One crisp autumn afternoon, in a secluded clearing deep in the Black Forest, a man waited patiently. His face was scarred. His body still bore the marks of his transformation, but his eyes were clear. A young woman approached, her steps hesitant. It was Linda, Weber's daughter, now an adult. The embrace was awkward, filled with years of unspoken pain and longing, but it was real, it was tender. It was a glimmer of hope, a fragile peace found in a world without a miracle cure. As dusk settled over the forest, a long, mournful howl echoed through the trees. It was a sound of sorrow, yes, but it wasn't a sound of despair. It was a cry of survival, of remembrance, of hope, a promise that even in the deepest darkness, the truth will find its way to the light. But deep underground in the buried ruins of the Eisenwolf facility, a single bank of monitors flickered to life. On the screen, a progress bar slowly filled. System backup restoration, complete. Mengel's work, it seemed, was not so easily erased. The monster was sleeping, but it was not dead. Thank you for watching this chapter of Project Eisenwolf. The story is far from over. If you want to see what happens next, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is what makes this series possible. Stay tuned.